Hello and welcome into this week's edition of the ARCA Menard Series Rewind Show. I'm Garth Allen. This is Racing News Now, and it is week number 1 of the 2023 ARCA Menards Series season. Glad to have you along for the ride. I know it's been a long off season. We've all been waiting for ARCA to come back, but it is time now for some ARCA racing. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm pretty pumped. I'm pretty pumped about the ARCA race that we just saw. That was probably the best ARCA Daytona race we've seen in a long time. And no offense to Venturini, a lot of it was because the Venturini cars didn't completely dominate and control this race. I'm sure that's not what Venturini wanted, but I think that's what the rest of the pack wanted. And to be honest, I think that's what a lot of the fans wanted. Even if you are a diehard Venturini fan, if you are a racing fan in general also, I think you wanted to see something more than what we've seen the last few years at Daytona, and we finally got that this year. We finally got a really good ARCA Daytona race. It has been a while. I'm so glad to see that we finally got a good one today. So let's talk about this one. The Daytona 200, we've lost the Lucas Oil sponsorship, unfortunately. Didn't have a sponsor for this one, but still a cool race, still ARCA Daytona. It's always exciting. Great racing throughout the pack in this one. As we talked about in the Truck Rewind last night, these rewind shows are going to be strictly analytical and statistical. If you would like to hear my thoughts, my personal thoughts on things that happened in this race, head on over to the Rookie Stripes podcast. That will premiere, the video version will premiere Wednesdays at 6 p.m. here on RNN, and then the audio version will be available from all of your favorite podcasting platforms. Should be earlier than that every week, so there is a link down in the description for you to follow and subscribe to the podcast on the audio podcasting platforms if that is the way you prefer. Like the Truck Rewind last night, we're not going to do a full caution report anymore. We're just going to talk about specific caution flags that are notable. We're going to start off with caution at lap number 12. This one came very early and was very disappointing for Scott Melton. Scott Melton had a very fast car in this race, was up front in the beginning of this race, looked like he might have been able to be a race win contender in that 69 car. When's the last time outside of Will Kimmel at Salem, or maybe Will Kimmel on a dirt track, have we been able to say that 69 car is capable of winning a race? Will Kimmel showed some speed at Salem last year, and I don't know if maybe they're just improving that 69 car that much, and we're going to see this more and more as we go forward. I hope we're going to see this more going forward, because I would love to see that Kimmel Racing team up front more going forward. Things took a turn for the worse for him very early in this race. Okay, left side of the shot here as we watch this crash unfold. You'll see the 36 car here to the left. Scott Melton is going to be the blue car you can see, just barely see behind him. You see the 11 car of Bryce Hogberg behind Scott Melton. LeVar Scott's here on the inside. Then outside of LeVar Scott is going to be the 6 car of Jack Wood, Scott's teammate. Jack Wood is pushing Bryce Hogberg. Hogberg, in turn, is pushing Scott Melton. The problem, as you'll see here as we start the video, the pushes are not square. He hits him on the left, hits him on the right, and the one on the right sends him into the outside wall. Very quick ending to the day for Scott Melton. Very unfortunate to see his day end like that when he had such a fast car, and it showed so much promise. You hate to see it for guys like that generally don't run up front, that have opportunities like this, and to just be taken out with things like that. As you can see here, he was very, very frustrated with that after he got out of the car and he was being checked over by the safety team before being taken to the infield care center. A very disappointed Scott Melton. Very sad to see that, as, again, he could have been very competitive in this race and may have even been in contention for the win at the end of this race. Second caution we're going to look at is at lap number 31. This one got me a little hot. I'm going to be honest, this one got me a little hot. You're going to hear some opinions on this one in Rookie Stripes this week. I was not very happy with what happened here and why it happened. But, again, analytical and statistical is the rewind show now. If you want to hear that, Rookie Stripes. Lap number 31, the lap car of the 06 of A.J. Moyer. Slow on the inside line. The leaders come up to go around him, and things get a little crowded. And it doesn't help that the 06 doesn't really seem to be holding a line on the bottom very well. He ends up coming up into Jesse Love. Love gets turned from behind as he tries to avoid. Tim Richmond goes careening into the inside wall. Love gets away from this pretty well. He has a little bit of damage, but not great. Tim Richmond, on the other hand, that would be the end of his day. Another hard hit for Tim Richmond. Tim Richmond has had a lot of hard hits in his short career in the ARCA Menard series. It seems that bad luck just seems to find Tim Richmond a lot, and it's very unfortunate because he's another one that did seem to have a decently fast car today and may have been in contention at the end of this race, but unfortunately it was not to be. Fast forward now to the end of the race. Things have gotten very shaken up by some one-car spins here and there. The field is very jumbled. We come to the white flag. The 44 car of Jason White leads this race. Side by side for second is Greg Von Alst and LeVar Scott. You got Jesse Love and Connor Mosack behind them trying to make a move. As we'll see here as we start to play the video for the final lap, Jesse Love has made a move to the outside 3 wide for second, but doesn't have really any help behind him and is not going to be able to go anywhere. Neither is LeVar Scott in the middle. It is coming down to Jason White, Greg Von Alst, and Connor Mosack on the inside line. LeVar Scott is kind of hanging around there back in the 4th row. He might be able to make a run here, but it doesn't look like he's going to really get any help from Amber Balkan behind. It seems that it's going to come down to those top 3. Jason White, Greg Von Alst, and Connor Mosack. Right here, Von Alst jumps to the outside. I wasn't sure if he had enough momentum to do it here, but he just streams right on by Jason White. A little bit of help from Connor Mosack, but really, he just drove right on by him, and Jason White falls back into the pack here. We've got cars spinning from behind. Never mind that, though. Greg Von Alst picks up the win at Daytona. First career win for Greg Von Alst in that 35 car from Anderson, Indiana. Great to see the underdog, Greg Von Alst, pick up this victory. He had a very, I think, frustrating season last year, not exactly what he wanted to have in his first full-time ARCA season. He came back this year for another shot at a full-time season and starts it off with a win. I talked about on Rookie Stripes this week that I thought Jesse Love and Andres Perez de Lara would be the 2 big title contenders this year. If Greg Von Alst can back this up and continue running like this for the rest of the season, we might have a 3rd championship contender. He might sneak in here as a dark horse and possibly come in and win this championship. Now, this might be a one-off, and he might go back to running like he was last year. We'll see. Either way, even if that does happen, that does not take anything away from this victory. Greg Von Alst is a winner at Daytona. The short track racer from Central Indiana has done it at Daytona. The win for the underdogs, and it was great to see. So take a look at your results here. Connor Mosack did come home in the 2nd position behind Greg Von Alst. Sean Corr from a 39th place starting spot after getting into a little tussle with Amber Balkan in qualifying when she had a mechanical failure. He came all the way back to the 3rd position in this race. Great run for Sean Corr. LeVar Scott landed in 4th in his first ARCA Menard Series start. A great run for LeVar Scott. I'm excited to see what he can do in the East Series this year. I think he's going to pick up a few wins and maybe even the championship in the East Series this year. And Mandy Chick, great run for her in her first race for her full season campaign. Came home with a top 5 run in the 5th position. As we look through the rest of the top 10, a number of other really good runs here as well. Amber Balkan in 6th in her first run for Venturini Motorsports, picking up a career best finish. So great run for her. As I said on Rookie Stripes this week, I have been wanting for a long time to see what she could do in a better car. And I think she proved today that she can be competitive given the right equipment. She didn't get a lot of breaks going her way today, but she showed some speed and stayed up there. Now, granted, she was in a Venturini car, so she should have been up there. But there are some other people in Venturini cars now and recently that haven't been able to do that. So, say what you will about Amber, she was able to at least stay competitive today. And that's really all you can ask for sometimes, just to have somebody prove what they can do. Jesse Love came home in the 7th position. I think he was fast enough to win this race, but he had a lot of breaks that went against him today, and it just was not in the cards for Jesse Love today to start his full season championship campaign. Jack Wood came home in 8th in the 6th car for Rev Racing. Jason White fell from the lead to 9th in the span of turn 3 to the start-finish line. Saw that dream of winning at Daytona slip away very quickly. And Dale Quarterly in the slightly patched up former Daniel Dye car from the 43 now turned into the 4 car. He rounded out the top 10. Other notables in the rest of the field, Frankie Muniz came home in 11th. He was surprisingly fast today. I think he was as high as maybe 3rd at one point. So great to see him running well. It gives me optimism that he might run pretty decently this year. I wasn't sure what to expect out of Frankie this year, but I was pleasantly surprised with what I saw out of him today. So bring it on, Frankie. I'd like to see some good runs out of you this year. Natalie Decker in a surprisingly decent run in the 14th position in a car that I didn't really think she'd be able to do anything with in that Emerling Gase 53, but she hovered around 10th to 15th a lot of the day. Not great, not a race win contender, but she was kind of up there, and honestly, that's higher than I expected her to be in that car. So kudos to Natalie for keeping that in the top 15. Logan Mishiraka landed in the 18th position. That is not indicative of the day she had. She ran top 15 to top 10 a lot of the day as well. And again, I'm not sure how competitive that car truly was, so I'm not sure if it would have done any better with anyone else in it. She is a real mystery to me, and I'm not really sure, after now having seen her at New Smyrna last year and at Daytona this year, really not sure what to think of her so far. But 18th for Logan Mishiraka. 23rd for Tony Breidinger in the 55 for Venturini. Yet another day where she was just not in the picture at all. Best car in the field, not in the picture. Andy Jankowiak, unfortunately, getting caught up in an accident, landed in the 32nd position. He had a very fast car as well. Could have been a race win contender at the end of this one. Gustine had a fuel line go bad on him, and he ended up in the 35th position in the 25 for Venturini. Scott Melton, after his disappointing accident early on, landed in the 38th position. So Greg Van Alst will leave here leading the points in terms of full-time drivers after this race. Your point standings will actually look like Greg Van Alst, Mandy Chick, and Jesse Love will be the top 3. Frankie Muniz would be 4th of the full-timers, and then Christian Rose would round out the top 5, I do believe, of full-time drivers leaving this race. Of course, you're going to have Connor Mozak, Sean Corr, LeVar Scott thrown in there as well, but they will fall down the order as we get further in the season, as they are not running full seasons. But I believe that's going to do it for us on this ARCA Rewind show. Short, quick, and to the point. That is the point of ARCA Rewind shows this year, as again, my thoughts and opinions on the races will now be on the Rookie Stripes podcast. Analytical and statistical are the terms I am using for Rewind shows this year. So if you just want the statistical side and want to know what happened in the races, you want the highlights, you want to see the wrecks, you want to see the finish of the races, that is what the Rewind show is for. We'll probably still show those things on Rookie Stripes if you watch the video version, but you're going to hear a lot more of my opinions, and boy, do I have some opinions on this race. Any of you that have been around for a decent amount of time shouldn't be surprised by that, because I tend to have a lot of opinions, especially when it comes to ARCA races. So if you want to hear those, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern here on RNN will be the premiere time for Rookie Stripes. And again, if you want to hear the audio version, it should release before that on all the major podcasting platforms. Link in the description. But at that, I believe we will see you actually later today for an Xfinity Rewind. And then we'll see you on Wednesday for Rookie Stripes. And then next weekend for Auto Club coverage. So thanks for hanging out, y'all. And we'll see you here in a little bit for an Xfinity Rewind. At that, I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.